Okay, so today is April 28th. It's a Saturday, about 2:15 in the afternoon. We split the hive on the left last week on Saturday, and I'm going to do an inspection today. And I want to check the left hive to see how they're doing, see how any queen cells are being prepared, and how close they are to emerging, and just kind of see how they're doing on drawing out any comb, since they have no queen to be feeding, and they're kind of jobless a little bit because there's no queen, they're laying eggs. And on the right hive, the green hive, that's the hive with the queen in it, and I want to check on this one to see how they're doing, see if bees have emerged, since there were several layers of cat brood on some of these frames, and to see if she's laying and how well they're doing bringing in stores. I'm also going to experiment. I'm going to try out a different feeder on some of these. I didn't really like the way some of them are drowning some bees, so it's going to change them out. So smoker's lit, so we'll go ahead and get started in a second. Okay, I'm going to go for this hive first. This is the one I really want to take a look at and make sure the queen's doing okay, because she's in here, so there should be worker bees coming out if they haven't already emerged. And any that have emerged, she should be laying eggs to get new worker bees, workers, drones, and kind of boost the population here. I'm also going to check the feeder to see how it's doing, see if it needs to be fed, and see how they're storing and drawing out comb. Give them a little smoke at the entrance. Alright. Their feeder. Filled it up yesterday, so they've taken it down some. Not a whole lot, but that's okay. Take this top super off. That's just kind of used to shim the opening up, so I can put this feeder on and keep it covered. Give them a little smoke here. Pull this feeder board off. Got some bees clustered, but no queen. Put them right there. Lift this up a little bit. Give them some smoke, let them know I'm coming in. Alright, that should have calmed them down a little bit. Check the bottom, I don't see any queen on the board. Not really, they built a little bit of comb on here. Nothing really to be too concerned with. Let me set this over here on the side and get my tool. And I'm going to inspect the bottom box first. Alright. And kick the cord over a little bit, make some room so I can set this down. Alright, looks like they're drawing out a good bit of comb. Nothing crazy, but I'll get to that one in a little bit. Smoke them a little bit. Send them down. Clean some of this burr comb off. Not a whole lot on there. And I'm going to get my frame perch. And this first one looks like it'll come out pretty easy. I hope I'm not blocking the camera but so much. Right. So they haven't really touched this one. Right. Take a look at this second one. Okay, so they've drawn out a considerable amount of comb on here. I don't see any eggs. I don't see the queen. I see some pollen, so they're storing some pollen. Let me look at the back and I'll see if I can show you some. Alright. I don't see her on here anywhere. Not sure if you all can see that. There's some yellow areas right over here. If that's coming through, that's where they're storing pollen in it. And there's a little bit of burr comb at the top, so I'm going to clean it off. Hop off. Alright. This frame will go back. And tell you what, I'll leave that here for now. I'm probably going to turn this one around since they've drawn out comb on one side but not on the other. So I'll probably turn that around to encourage them to, I'm going to move this so you can see. Encourage them to draw comb on the other side. Alright, let me check this third frame. Alright. See if I see her on here. Alright, there's some brood has emerged. Don't see her. There's a lot of brood here on this side still waiting to come out. Trying to see if I see some eggs. I see larvae in the corners. Let me get my flashlight, see if I can see them. See larvae. I'm trying to get the sun to my back so I can see in these cells. I'll put this one back for now after I look at this side again. I see some queen cups down here at the bottom, so I'm going to check to make sure there's not any eggs in them. No egg, no egg, no egg. Okay, so they're all here. If you look, you can see these little ones down here at the bottom that kind of project and hang down. Those are queen cups. So there are no eggs in them, so they're not being used, but they're here. I can't see any eggs. I might look at this one again. Let me see if I can find her first. I don't see any eggs on this one. Let's smoke them a little bit. They're starting to get a little moody. They're moving around quite a bit. Alright, can't see it because it's too small, but I see eggs on this frame, so that means she's been here and laid. And these eggs, some are laying flat and some are about to lay flat, so she's laying good. So these eggs are probably a day, maybe some of them are probably 2 days old or so. Trying to find her. I know she's got to at least been here in the last day or two. And this side, I'll show you a little bit. This side's got a lot of pollen on the bottom, but I can see on this side of the frame most of the brood has emerged, and she has laid eggs in pretty much every hole, so that's good. Got a queen cup down here on this side. There are no eggs in it. So I'm going to clean this burr comb off. She's kind of hiding right now. Maybe she's in this cluster here. I don't see her. I would like to see her. I prefer to see her each time, though, since these hives are not very big. Move out of the way. Alright, let's look at this last one. See what we're doing here. Okay, so capping some honey on this side. Where is she at? It's a queen cup they built here. Just looking for the queen. Don't see any eggs. They have been drawing out comb on this side. Alright, she's probably hiding on here, so I'm gonna take another look. I like when she hides from me. I like to see her. Alright, let me look at this middle frame again then. Good thing is I see a bunch of eggs on here. And this frame is heavy. Where is she hiding at? She didn't show up yet, so I'm going to check this top box real quick before I start moving frames around. See if I can find her somewhere in here. They might have brought enough up, and she could be up here laying. That would be great. First frame looks pretty empty. I've drawn a little bit of comb out, but nothing. There's no bees on it. And second frame as well, they haven't really touched it. This one they're drawing out a lot of comb. I don't see any eggs because I don't think it's fully developed yet. Let's see. This one has a lot of bees on it. I want to see this queen. They're storing nectar on this one. I don't see any eggs. And I don't see the queen. Okay. I'm going to take another quick look. I didn't see her on the top box either, so I really would like to see her to make sure that the hive is not queenless. It's not imperative since I see that she has been there in the last couple of days laying eggs, but I'd at least like to make sure she's in there just for out of my own satisfaction. me just check on here again, make sure I didn't miss it with my eyes. Drawing out the comb pretty uniform. It's just not enough yet to lay eggs in here. Just blowing on them gently. You can smoke them, but that carbon dioxide from your breath definitely calms them and moves them over a little bit too. So I'm going to move one of these frames to the middle, get them to draw comb on this one. Just move these around a little bit, try to get them to start working on some of this. And this one has comb on one side but not the other, so I'm going to spin it. There's a little bit on this side. I want there to be some more. Alright, I'm going to check this one again. Now I saw she wasn't on there. Down in here too, see if I can see her. I don't see her on the sides. I don't see her on the bottom. I'd love to see some eggs on this side, but no. Let's check this one again because this one's heavy. Oh, I found her. Okay. I don't know if you guys will be able to see. She's right here. Thankfully, I found her. So she's moving along the hive. Her yellow dot's kind of wearing off a little bit, but I can see her. So that's good. So she's in here. So she's on the third frame. And she's laying lots of eggs, so that's good. Watch out, little bee. Move these back ever so gently. I don't want to smush any bees. And here's what I'm going to do, actually. I want them to start coming up. So I'm going to move some of these frames around. So I'm going to put this one here. Here's what I'm going to do. You're watching me work and try to figure out what I want to do at the same time, so I apologize. So make sure she's still on this one first. As she's hiding again. She's elusive. Okay, I got her. Okay. So she's on this one. Where is she going? Okay, good. She's going back up. So I know she's not going to be on this brood frame. So this brood frame I'm going to take, and I'm actually going to swap it. I'm going to put it on this perch actually. I'm going to swap it for one right in here. This one, they haven't really done much to. I'm going to put it in here. So they'll see they haven't done anything to this one, and they'll start working on it. They don't like to have a lot of gaps. And this one here is empty, they haven't touched. I'm going to put it here in the middle next to one that they've been working on. Give them a little smoke so they go back home. Okay, sent them down. This frame, I'm going to peek at it again just because I'm nosy. This frame has lots of, you can see here, there's lots of cat brood. In these sides there's larvae, so different stages. And over here in all these open cells there's eggs. So there's bees at all different stages. They're storing nectar on the frame and pollen, so this is a good frame. So this one's going to go up here. I'm going to slide this one out and get it kind of in the middle. And this one's going in up here. So the bees will come up, take care of stuff, and we'll get them to start working up here. Alright. I gotta take my frame perch back off before I close my hive. Send them down a little bit. And just gently slide over. And square this up. Alright. You got a bunch on top fanning, making a lot of noise. Send them down for a hair. Okay, sent them down. I'm going to put my inner cover back on. Square that up. This jar feeder I have, I'm actually going to put it into a smaller jar so it'll sit and I can close it. It's not sitting high enough up. And they're doing pretty well with feeding themselves, so I'm not super concerned. About them not bringing enough stuff in. This is just going to be a little supplemental so I can kind of track what they're doing. So I'm just going to move it over to the smaller jar. For those of you that haven't watched before, this is just a 1-to-1. So it's 1 part water, 1 part sugar, and there's an additive with like lemongrass, spearmint, a couple other essential oils called Honeybee Healthy. What I'll do for this is perforations on the lid. I'll just invert it real quick to make sure that it doesn't lose vacuum and it holds it and it doesn't drip all over them. And then I'll shake this down a little bit just to let them know, hey, I got food in here. And then I'll put this right over on top. And they come up into this little space in there and they'll drink right from it. And I'm going to close this lid so I don't spill it. And I'll take this super, put it back on top. There's a little hole right in here so if any of the bees have to get out, if they're trapped up in this top box, they can get out. And last but not least, I take my telescoping lid, put that back on, and I close this back up, and we're done with that hive. So I'm going to stop the video, move it, and reposition it, and we'll take another video. Okay, this is the hive that we split. So we took the queen out, we took some frames of brood out, we took eggs on frames out, but we also took some frames that had pollen and nectar on them, so we knew that the bees would have a little jump start while they got moving. I also introduce that feeder that you guys saw in that last part of the video. So this one, there shouldn't be a whole lot going on in this top box. Hopefully they're coming up and drawing out comb. This is the bottom box where I got the main frames. So there should be some queen cells already that we saw. They should be capped by now, hopefully. And that means they're pupating and waiting to emerge with a new queen. Once the new queen emerges, which is roughly around day 16 from when she's laid as an egg, after a few days, she'll either go, or the bees will encourage her to go out on her mating flight. When she goes out on her mating flight, she flies out, mates with several drones, and comes back to the hive, provided she doesn't get eaten, doesn't get lost, doesn't lose her way. There's many number of factors, things that can happen that could influence it and cause the queen to not return to the hive. If she didn't, what I would just do is recombine these hives, because there is a laying queen here. I would just put them back together. So she should be emerging, I think, I have it on my calendar. She should be emerging roughly, I think, in another 7 or 8 days, if I'm not 7 days, if I'm not mistaken. I have to look at my calendar, I don't know. So I wanted to just take a quick spot check on here, but also to check their feed. And I'm going to switch their feeder to that jar feeder you saw from this last one, because I just don't like the feeder that's in this one. So I'm going to smoke them a little bit. Take my cover off. Inner cover got kind of stuck to it. So let me get this thing off. And I'm going to take some of these bees out, and where's my tool at? The thing I didn't like about this feeder is, while the bees were using it, I don't know if you can see on here, it was drowning bees. So bees would come in and they would try to get on this thing and they'd end up drowning. And I know I know some bees are going to drown. I know that bees are going to die. It's inevitable. But I just don't like there's more bees in here drown than I really like. There's a lot of bees coming up here feeding, because I filled this thing up and they've sucked it down. But I just don't like the dead bees I see on here. I think to me it's more than there should be. So I'm gonna take this off. I'm gonna dump this out. Let some of the bees come here. There's one in here about to drown right now. Save this one. She's all wet. There we go. Take this off. I'm going to dump it out to get these dead bees out of it, dump the sugar water out. Then I'm going to leave it here for a little bit, because any sugar water that's in here, the bees will mess with it and take any out of here, but then I'll remove it out so it doesn't attract ants. Alright, so this is coming off. Alright, some bees up at the top, so that's a good thing. I'm going to dump this out over here. I'm going to scoop out some of these dead bees. There's only a handful, but like I said, still more than I would like to see in here. When we get a laying queen in here, the turnover rate will be kind of significant. Now in the winter time, when the bees really don't have a whole lot to do, they can live for months. But right around, once it gets really heavy into the peak season of them having a lot of work to do, like in summer, you'll see these bees will live 6 weeks and then they'll die from exhaustion. Also, a good laying queen with room, she'll lay roughly 1,500 to 2,000 eggs in a day. So there's a significant amount of population that's emerging. Move this over a little bit. I'm going to slide this so I got a little room to work. Still a work in progress. We just changed these up the other day. Alright, so let me look at some of these frames. Alright, there's some burr comb drawn on these, but they're really not taking to this. So I'm going to clean this off. Leave it here. In a second, I'm going to run inside and get something to spray on these to hopefully help them draw a little more comb out. See nothing. They're drawing out some on this, but not a whole lot. I suspect most of the bees are down in the bottom working. But, okay, so, ooh, this one's heavy. So this one, I'm going to have to move this one over to encourage them. This one, I don't know if you can see, this was an empty frame. They have drawn out wax pretty much the whole way, and they're filling it with nectar. And the nectar they're using is probably a lot of the sugar water I've been giving them, but also they could be bringing in nectar from the field. Just sliding these over. I'm going to check this bottom box, really what I should be checking, but I just wanted to look at this one really quick because I know there shouldn't be any queen in here. Alright, so I'm going to close this box for now, move it off to the side, and then I'm going to look at this bottom box. And we'll come back to this one because I think I'm going to do some movement a little bit on some of these frames to manage and encourage a little bit more work coming out of there. So, let me put this back. Need something to set it down on. I don't want to just put it down on the ground. Smush a bunch of bees and they fall out. So, this one's going down. Alright. I don't know if you can see, but there's a lot of bees working in this one. So that's good. So the population's moving. Put this in here and we're going to start looking at these frames real quick. Okay, they're drawing wax out on this one. Not a significant amount, but some. Spin this one around so you can start drawing out wax on the other side. Let's look at this one. Drawing out wax. Drawing out more wax on this side. Kind of tend to stick to one side and kind of do what they do, but they're drawing out wax, but there's also a good amount of nectar in here. So I'm going to actually keep this one facing this way. These bees are pretty calm right now. This is one of the wax foundation frames versus the plastic. Calm, moving over here, drawing out wax. Not doing a whole lot other than that. So I'm going to spin this one. I want them to draw out wax on the other side. And let's take a look at these frames, because these are the ones that have the queen cells on them. So I'll be looking to see if any of these cells have emerged yet, or excuse me, have been capped, and how they're looking at with these cells pupating. And this frame is pretty heavy. So there's still a ton, like a ton of capped brood. So there's a lot of bees in this population waiting to come out. Okay. Awesome. I see a capped queen cell. Not sure if you all will be able to see this, but at the top of the frame, there's a little, let me blow them off. See, there's one here, looks like a peanut. if it's capturing it, let me try to sneak back and look. Yeah, it's got it. Okay, so that's a queen cell right there. I can tilt it a little bit and see it is capped. There's a queen in there waiting to come out. We've got a couple queen cups, no eggs in them. So this is good. And I'll show you one more thing. You look on the side, that's capped honey on the left side. So I see one fully capped queen cell, so that's awesome. So in this hive we'll have a queen soon. And there's a ton of bees working on here. I don't see any. I see some drones. These are drones. You can see at the top of the frame, all the protruded ones that look like kind of like, I say look kind of like bullets in casing, but those are drones. So those are male bees. They have no stinger. And if you look, I'm sure you can see it a little bit. I'll blow them on a little bit. That is all completely capped. So every single one of these are going to be a worker bee coming out. See if I can see one. It's always cool to see them when they're coming out too. Whoop. All right. Okay, so look over here. Oh my goodness. There's one, see right there, 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got 4 queen cells on this side. And let me make sure I'm not missing another one. 1 on this side. So that's 5 queen cells on this one frame. So, just to mark this for reference, I have, let's see, I'm going to make this the, one of these are trying to get into my jacket. Hold on, got a couple trying to get in my jacket. Get out of here. That one's mad at me. So, if they're mad, always give them a little smoke. Alright. So, they're typically kind of irritated in this hive now because they have no queen. And they know they have no queen. So that can kind of make them agitated. So this frame is going to get moved over. So we're going to call this the third frame. Third frame, facing the house, has 4 queen cells on the top half of the frame. Facing the fence, this is just for my records, facing the fence there's 1 queen cell. Alright, so we're going to check this frame out now. This one's heavy too. Alright. A lot of cat brood still. They've, oh my lord. They're filling some of this brood nest with nectar, so they don't have anything else to do with it. Good amount of pollen. Drone comb, or drone brood. I see a queen cups, but no eggs. If I see some burr comb, then I'm going to clean off. And I'm going to look, because I do have some queen cells on this one too. There's that queen cell. Oh, darn it. Well, I got one of them, but there's a ton of queen cells on here, so that's going to be okay. Because this one right here has, see, there's 2 queen cells right there. So I have 4, 5, 6, 7. I don't see any more on this frame. Jeez Louise. So the good thing is, we've got a queen coming out. I'm going to call my mentor later and see what she thinks about me having so many cells. I don't know if that could be a problem or not. I don't want them to swarm again, or attempt to swarm. Sometimes they can have one queen emerge and swarm, and then have another queen emerge and then swarm again. They're mad at me right now. They're buzzing all around me. Alright, cat brood, honey. Smoking a little bit. And this frame has another queen cell. So I think that's, if I'm not mistaken, so 5, 6, 7. So I should have 8. There's 8 on here now. I'm going to leave the rest of this alone. Slide a frame over, make them work on this one. Put this back in. Move this one over here. Actually, let me see this one. They're drawing out comb on that one, so that's good. Look at it real quick. lot of comb, a lot of pollen, nectar. Okay, we're good. This hive is doing really well. Population staying strong. And we're going to turn it this way. I want them to draw some comb out on this side. Smoke them down a little bit so they hopefully forgive me for pissing them off so much. Front a little bit. Take my perch off, because I always forget to take my perch off. And I'm going to put this box back on. I do want to do a little manipulation on this box. Alright, so this one had the most on it. So I'm going to move an empty one over. And then put this one here in the middle. So hopefully they'll start drawing on that one now. That's pretty much all I want to do with this box. This inspection, I know it seems like it took a while, but this one was going to be pretty quick. I wanted to just check it, see how these queens were doing. And a couple bees, they always get smushed. I don't like it. It makes me sad when a bee gets smushed, but it unfortunately happens. So I'm going to put the inner cover back on. Hold on, watch out. And I'm going to change this feeder so it'll stop drowning my bees. This one again, screened on here. It's got 3/8 of an inch right here in this open spot that's needed for bee space. If you make it too small, they can't use it. If you make it too big, they'll build all that burr comb around it. And it's screened so there's a hole for ventilation. Put it back up on here. Give them a little. Well, first I want to invert it. Give them a little shake. Say, hey, there's some sugar water up here. And where's my hole? And that'll be good right there. There. Now, I thought I brought, oh I did. I'm going to put another medium super on the top. Because I need to shim it, again, to cover it up. These supers, typically, these medium supers are typically used when you have, you'll put shallower frames in there for honey because the honey weighs so much. But right now it's being repurposed just for this. And so the good thing is when I come to check on these feeders and refill them, I can just open this cover. I don't even have to disturb the hive. Cover that back up. And I'm going to put the brick somewhere. Here's the brick. And brick that back just to keep the lid on. And I'm done. Hope you guys enjoyed that. If you like it, subscribe. I think about people have already subscribed. Comment if you have questions, but anybody that's really subscribing is my friend either on Instagram or Facebook. Don't hesitate to call me, text me, or even send me a message on Facebook or Instagram if you have any questions. I'm not an expert, so please take it with a grain of salt. I'm learning, and I want to share that with you all as I'm learning. Okay, thanks.